welcome to this bookshelf. I'm El Rocher. Today I'm going to be interviewing Noa Nimrodi. So I'm so excited for this interview. It's going to be great. I can't wait to meet her. And this is one of my favorite books here. And so I've got some great questions to ask her. I hope you can stick around for the second half. And well, I've got to run. Hi, I'm Mel. So I have a few questions and I was hoping you could answer them.
Yes. First, I have to say I'm very excited to be talking to you, and I think you're so admirable. I mean, you're going to ask me a lot of questions, but I want to ask you one question.
Sure.
Thinking of interviewing authors, because I'm thinking back on myself as an 8-year-old. I was such a shy 8-year-old. I don't think I would talk to adults, or, especially if somebody's a published author and I've read his book, I would feel very intimidated to reach out. But you send a message to me through my website, and we set this up, and it's just, I think for your people that are watching this, you're even more inspiring than I am in many ways.
Thanks for that. Anyway, my first question is, what inspired you to write Not So Shy?
Okay, so Not So Shy is very much based on my own life experiences, as you could have guessed. I first started off with writing it from the point of view of my own kids. We moved from Israel to the US, me and my husband, for my husband's job, and the kids were 7, 12, and 15. So, and my middle daughter, which I stole her name for the book too, because her name is Shai, was 12, just like the main character in the book.
Oh.
But as I started writing it, I felt that all the emotions that I'm putting in there, even though it's fictional, right? And a lot of things that happen in the book obviously did not happen in real life. But I too was a kid who moved back and forth from Israel to the US. So I moved when I was 4, and back to Israel when I was 6, and back to the US when I was 10, and back to Israel when I was 12. So if you're dizzy, imagine how I felt about all these moves. So I was also that kid that I was writing about. So the inspiration comes from all these directions: my kids, myself.
Can you tell us a bit more about Shai?
About Shai, the character. I think Shai is a very happy girl, at least to start off with, in her personality. She's very happy, but the move to the US upsets her, so she can't be her happy self. She also feels that she's gonna change because of the move. She's gonna be someone that she's not. She's mad at her parents for having her move, and she's an artist. That you also figured out when you read the book.
How did you research and gather information for the story?
So as I said, because it's so inspired by my own life, it was just the gathering process was kind of remembering, it was thinking back on things that happened, reflecting on how things went, how they could have gone maybe better. Because it's my own experiences, I didn't have to do much research, unless it was, for example, Kaylee, the next door neighbor. She is from a Korean family. So I had to do a little bit of research on that and have beta readers and people that come from the Korean culture in order to put that in the story. But as far as Shai's story, I didn't have to do much research.
So you basically chose Israel because you're from Israel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then do you have other families still in Israel?
Yep, a lot of family in Israel. Most of my family is in Israel. My parents are in Israel, and the original Shai that the story is based on, she's also in Israel. She went back to Israel, she joined the army, and now she's in college in Israel.
That's nice. So where do you live now? Do you live in America or Israel?
Yes, in California, in San Diego.
Nice. Do you face any challenges while writing this book? And if you did, how did you overcome them?
Okay, a lot of challenges in writing a book, and I understand you're also writing and you're an aspiring writer, so there are challenges, right? One day we write something, we think it's great, the next morning we read it, we say, who wrote this? This is so bad. Because sometimes when you're drafting, things are not perfect and you have to go back and revise them. So there were challenges in that manner of having to go back and forth and tweak things and change things and decide this is not working, this is working. And I have a critique group, so they read the chapters, I read their work, we comment on each other's work and help each other through it.
Being an author sounds like so exhausting and fun at the same time because there's like so much to do, and then you can take your time on it.
Right, yeah. You don't want to take too long on it though, because you want to move on to the next book. But yes, that is my problem. I'm a very slow writer and I take my time. And sometimes I wish I wrote faster.
So does the original Shai live in Israel now?
Yes, she does.
What's the message that you hope readers, like young readers, get from the book?
That is an excellent question. I really hope that kids will get the message that home can be anywhere. Doesn't have to be in a specific place. Home is a lot of times about the family that you're with, about the people, about the connections, but you can build a home in another place other than the one you originally think is your home. And also the sense of belonging is something that a lot of times is very internal, not necessarily external. So if you feel good about yourself, you know who you are, then the sense of belonging will come. It's something that you can develop. And I hope it doesn't, any kid who's been through a move, even from one, not necessarily a different country, but a different state or just a different school, they go through these, can go through these challenges of not feeling like they belong. And I hope readers will see that even if it's a big challenge, different culture, different language, it is something you can overcome.
So I know one place where everyone lives in.
Okay.
It's a place called Earth.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. We're all citizens of Earth. That's
Did you always want to be an author? And is there any advice that you can give to someone who's wanted to be an author like me?
So your question is divided into two. I always wanted to be, when I was your age, I wanted to be an architect. And I really wanted to be an architect. I was always drawing like Shai in the story. I was designing things, I was building things. I really thought I would be an architect. And then when I went to college for architecture and design, I dabbled a little in the design industry and I figured that I love color. The architect is not going to give me that aspect. So, and you're asking how I became an author, right? So as a designer, I worked for a very big book chain store, sort of the Israeli equivalent to Barnes and Nobles. It's called Steinmatsky. And I did all their window displays. So I was surrounded by a lot of books, and also I had my kids and I was reading to them. And I thought, wow, this is something I can really do, you know? So I wrote 2 picture books actually that were published in Israel in Hebrew, one which I also illustrated. So I started off as a picture book writer. And then when I came here and I joined STBWI, which is the long acronym that sounds hard to say, it's the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators. That's also where I met my critique group and started reading other children's books, not just picture books. And then I wrote Not So Shy because I just had a high fever and the story just came to me and I sent a chapter to my critique group and they said, oh, this is great. This is your genre. Why are you writing picture books? They're not very great. So that's how I came. That's the long answer of how 8-year-old architect became, a published author for middle grade.
It really is a really good book. So can you tell us, was it hard to write the book or did you find it easy because you had many experience?
It was not easy. Not for me. I haven't yet met an author who said it is easy. Maybe some will say that, but it's not easy. It's a process and it's a lot of revisions and a lot of drafts, and then finding an agent, finding a publisher is also kind of a challenging part of this whole thing. Once the book is written, it doesn't end, it kind of just begins. And then once you have a publisher, you work with the editor and you revise it again and again. And so, it's challenging. How did I overcome it? Just perseverance. Just knew that I want to do this. I was stubborn enough. And I guess that's the answer.
So how long would you say it took you to write the book?
Ooh, longer than I care to admit. probably years. But I think I was on and off, like back and forth. So I put it aside. I was working on picture books a little, and then I came back to it. So I wasn't working on it like full time. So that's probably why it took longer than.
The only author who probably said it was easy was this author. I read this book. It says silly bear yawning, silly bear sad, silly bear sleeping, silly bear glad, and that's it. That each of the sentence was on each page.
Yeah, but picture books are hard to write. People think just because they're, easy to read, they're easy to write. They're very hard to write. You have to really nail the wording, the rhythm, everything about it.
Yeah. So are you a reader? And if you are, how often do you read?
I am a reader. I read all the time. I'm always reading something, and I mostly read middle grade actually because I love middle grade. I think they're great books. And because I write middle grade, I think it helps me with my writing, but also I try to read stuff that are not like what I'm writing, just because you can be inspired, even if you're writing mystery, you can be inspired by reading poetry. So you have to mix it up a little.
Yeah. I love reading so much too. Like one time, I was going to use the bathroom, but I had a book in my hand, and my dad had to yell to me to put it down before I went in there.
I love that.
What do you basically do when you have free time?
When I have free time, I love traveling. I'm going to Israel in 2 days. I'm going to see my daughter and all the family, and my son is getting married in Israel. So yeah, and my youngest daughter is in New York, so I like visiting her in New York.
So if you could travel back in time and give yourself a piece of advice when you were writing the book, what would it be?
Piece of advice when I was writing the book. I think I would tell myself to embrace rejection, to just see rejection as part of the process, not something that's taking you back, but something that's moving you forward, because with every rejection, you learn something and you can go and improve. And you can, I'm trying to think if the first ever version I send out to an editor or to an agent would have been published, that it would have been a very bad version of this book. So in a way, I would tell myself, you see it's good that they rejected you back then, because you did make the book better.
That's actually a very good piece of advice. So are you planning to write more books?
Yes.
Good, because I'm going to read all of them.
Oh my gosh. I think you had a question that had 2 parts and I only answered one part of it.
What advice did you want to give to kids who want to write books?
Right. Yeah, I'm glad we went back to that one. To kids who want to write books. First of all, read, which you're already doing. And the second would be write. Like write. Even, experiences, or write a diary. That would be terrific. Like if you could write every day, but no pressure. Just if you don't feel like writing one day, don't. But try to write every day and write your own experiences and write down your feelings. And your future self, that writer who is my age, would be so thankful to you that you wrote that diary. You can tap into that middle grade voice when you're already older.
That's really great advice. Thanks for that. You said that you were shy when you were an 8-year-old.
I was a very shy kid. I think I still am kind of shy.
So I feel like I'm shy most of the time. So whenever someone that's my dad's friend or someone comes over to the house and I don't know them, I just don't talk to them, don't see them, don't do anything, and then eventually I become friends with them.
Nice.
I don't know what my strategy is, but
you feel super comfortable talking to me though, so that's great.
Well, because I read your book and I know it's awesome.
Thank you.